All right, shalom, guys. Once again, this is another lesson on the behalf of Solid Foundation Israelite Academy 2020. Please be sure to share this video with family and friends if you will. The topic of discussion, I would be dealing with the true account on what the Messiah did 2,000 years ago in terms of dealing with the money changers in the temple. All right. And so this is the true Messiah, what he did 2,000 years ago dealing with the money changers in the temple, because we've been given a fictitious Messiah, the white Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And also the gospel, the New Testament, has heavily been revised and watered down. And so, a lot of things has been changed. They don't tell us about the revolutionist Messiah. You know what I'm saying? The radical Messiah. They don't tell us about the freedom fighter Messiah that was fighting against the Roman Empire. You understand? To bring redemption to his people. They don't tell us about, that true Messiah. And so I want to go over that, dealing with how the true black Messiah, Yahushua, Hamashiach, how he dealt with the money changers in 2,000 years ago versus what we've been told today about the money changers. So this is the frontal view of the temple looking from the east. Now, when you read the gospel, it tells you about the Messiah went in there and he overturned some tables because the money changers were selling in the temple. All right. But according to Rudolph Winster, this book here is actually known as Judea Trembles Under Rome by Rudolph R. Winster. And it deals with the untold details of Greek and Roman military domination of ancient Palestine during the time of Jesus of Galilee. And so on page 129, it's telling you about it. It just breaks down. It gives you a diagram of the front view of the temple. And so if you see number 1 right here, it says the temple proper. Number 1, the temple proper. So when you come over here and you see number 1, you can see the temple proper right there. Now, what we've been told, we was told that the money changers were selling in the temple proper. But the real deal, the real story is that the money changers was not selling in the temple proper. The money changers was selling in a designated area that was outside, the outside courts, which is here. And so when you look at number 6, the area designated for the Gentiles, the money changers was located here. So that's most likely where they was doing the selling at. They was not doing the selling right here, in the temple proper. Okay, and this brings you to page 131. Because it says right here in the highlighted area, some writers tells us that when Jesus overthrew the money changers, that this act was the cleansing of the temple. That's what we've been told traditionally. But Rudolph Winster says, I can assure you that it was not, because after Jesus departed, no doubt they resumed their business. So a realistic cleansing of the temple would have included the removal of the Uncle Tom priestly family and the ousting of the Romans from the temple area, who were controlling the high priest. The Roman captain in the fortress of Antonia kept the vestments of the high priest under lock and key. The Romans did this as a means to control him. The Gospel's rendition of Jesus' cleansing of the temple can be compared to vendors selling in the corridors of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and at the same time, the Capitol building being occupied by Chinese communist troops. Then, an American citizen decided that he would go to the Capitol and throw out the vendors but do nothing to the Chinese troops. The next highlighted area. As I mentioned before, the money changers didn't do any selling in the temple proper. See that? They sold in the court of the Gentiles, which was located in the cloisters of the extreme outer court of the temple plaza. So he's telling you right there, Rudolph Windsor is telling you on page 131 that the money changers didn't do any selling in the temple proper. Now, where's the temple proper located? Going back to the diagram of the front view of the temple. The temple proper is number 1 here. Number 1 here, as you can see. Number 1 is the temple proper. Go over here. It says that the money changers wasn't doing any selling here. They was actually doing the selling in the outer courts right here. Number 6. See that? The money changers were located here. So we've been given a false account. They lied to us, man. Now, again, second highlighted section on page 131. The money changers didn't do any selling in the temple proper. They sold in the court of the Gentiles, which was located in the cloisters of the extreme outer court of the temple plaza. The only area that could be considered the temple, strictly speaking, was the temple proper, which included only the holy place and the holy of holies. See that? See attached map and charts that we just looked at. Outside of the temple proper was the court of the priests, where animals were slaughtered and offered up on the altar. This area was enclosed by a high wall. See that? And so let's go back. So that area, was enclosed by a high wall. And you can see it right there. You see what I'm saying? And that's where they did the sacrificial services at, right? So the outside of the temple proper was the court of the priests, where animals were slaughtered and offered up on the altar. This area was enclosed by a high wall. Outside this area was the court. Outside the area was the court of the Israelites, which was separated by a wall. Then there was the court of the woman outside, the court of the Israelites, the court of the woman. So there was the court outside, of the Israelites, which was separated by the wall. There was a court of the woman that was outside. And so when we go back to the temple diagram, wait a minute, guys, just bear along with me. The woman's court is number 3. Right there. See that? That was the woman's court. I know everything is kind of compacted, but just bear along. That was the woman's court, number 3, right? It says woman's court. So let's go back to page 131. Well, actually page 132 now. And it says the entire area, including the temple proper, down to the court of the woman. I call, wait a minute. I call the temple complex. So the entire area, including the temple proper, to the court of the woman, I call the temple complex, so that it would make it easy for you to understand the various parts. And this area was surrounded by a high wall. Then outside the high wall was a small partition called, in Hebrew, the Sereg, which means the lattice work. There was located outside the partition a sign warning Gentiles not to pass beyond this point. And if he did, it can cost them their lives. Now watch this. If Jesus, in fact, overthrew the table of the money changers for whatever reason, that was a very serious act and extremely potentially dangerous business. Considering the presence of 500 battle-dressed Roman legionnaires garrisoned in the fortress on the northwest corner of the temple plaza. Moreover, there was the presence of the temple police. But nothing is said about any of these law enforcement units in the Gospels. We don't even hear a whisper of warning from them. Why? Previously, when the Judeans demonstrated and rioted against the Romans confronted and subdued them immediately. The true Jesus, let me put this in the light. The true Jesus was a Judean. This is in the orange area. The true Jesus was a Judean, and he had visited the temple many times. Furthermore, he knew that the money changers had a right to exchange currency and sell in those areas. The true account of the militant true Jesus has been deliberately deleted and false accounts inserted in the Gospels. Wow. The true account of the militant true Jesus has been deliberately deleted and false accounts inserted in the Gospels. Wow. Now, we can draw our conclusions with 90% accuracy of what actually happened when Jesus entered the temple to overthrow the tables. We can do this because we are now aware of the distortions in the Gospels. We have detailed background, historical knowledge of the Roman occupation of Judea. And we have information that the money changers were not selling in the temple proper. Again, the money changers was not selling in the temple proper, nor anywhere near it. They were selling in the outer court. They were selling in the outer court near the perimeter wall. What we have here is a smell of a cover-up, and when there is a cover-up, those involved have something to hide, and this is it. So he's finna reveal what these wicked men had tried to cover up. Most of the evidence indicate that the true Jesus entered the temple plaza to overthrow the existing government of the high priest and to destroy the Roman garrison there. Moreover, I believe that when Jesus turned over the tables of the money changers and started a fight with the clerks, that this act was preconceived scheme of his and well thought out. I believe that Jesus used the commotion or riot as a decoy, which was a trap, to allure the Romans out of their barracks in order to attack and destroy them. But this attempted coup failed, and finally the Romans arrested Jesus for, number 1, inciting a riot, number 2, disorderly conduct, number 3, calling himself a king, number 4, in a rebellion. Like all rebels, he and his accomplices were crucified, but Barabbas and the other rebels was being detained in Pilate's prison for the same crime Jesus was charged with, which was insurrection and murder. See that? Like all rebels, he and his accomplice was crucified. Barabbas and other rebels was being detained in Pilate's prison for the same crime Jesus was charged with, insurrection and murder. And there was one named Barabbas, which lay bound with them that had made insurrection with him. The him probably refers to Jesus, who had committed murder and insurrection. You can see Mark chapter 15 verse 7 and Luke chapter 23 verse 19. So guess what? According to Rudolph Winston, he said Barabbas was with Christ, man, the Messiah. And the Messiah was charged with insurrection and murder because he probably, it's not factual, but he probably, committed murder and killed a Roman soldier, man. And this is talking about the Messiah. But they tell us in history that the Messiah, he never did such things. They try to make the Messiah out of a faggot-ass person. But he was a rebel. He was a Galilean. He was a freedom fighter, man. He was a activist. You feel what I'm saying? Now look, it says, take notice. It is not by accident that Barabbas comes into Jesus' story at the same time and is in prison at the same time for insurrection and murder, probably for killing a Roman soldier, man. You see that? Probably for killing a Roman soldier. I'm not saying that Jesus factually, that it's facts that he killed a Roman soldier, but somebody got to explain to me, goddammit. Somebody got to explain to me why was this man charged for insurrection and murder, and why him and Barabbas was in Pontius Pilate's prison. See that? Let's read the orange section. The evidence says that there are some scholars who consider Jesus to have been a guerrilla leader and regarded his overturning of the tables of the money changers as a watered down account. So this bullshit they told us about he was cleansing the temple, he did not cleanse no temple. That was a watered down account that they gave us, the smell of a cover-up, to cover up what the real Messiah really did. It was a watered down account. See that? Now, I'm going to skip down for the sake of time over here on page 135 in the orange section. And it says, in view of this, the true facts of the life of the Judean rebel Jesus had to be deleted and re-edited to suit the interests of Constantine and his advisors. As a consequence, what they have transmitted to us is a book of confusion, contradictions, deletions, and forgeries. You see that? So listen, we have not been told about the true rebel Messiah. You understand? The real Messiah, the black Messiah, how he was fighting against the Roman Empire and how he plotted to secretly overthrow the Roman Empire and how he tried to recruit a lot of people to fight along with him on his side to overthrow these Edomites, these white Romans. They gave you a watered down gospel. The whole goddamn gospel has been revised. You don't know about the true Messiah and the true things what he did 2,000 years ago. You understand? Come on, man. Share the video.